There are many Five Nights at Freddy's characters that feel just somewhat wasted potential-wise, even if it is just because of their designs. Vanny, of course, comes to mind, with her being built up to be the main antagonist of Security Breach. But you know, there's also the antagonists of Pizzeria Simulator who all act basically the same. But there's one character I want to talk about for this video. One of the most intriguing characters for the first couple years of the game's existence, and that character is, of course, Alright, I know that calling Golden Freddy underused when he's been in multiple games, every single book series, and even the movie is strange, but just let me explain myself. But before I say why I don't like how he was handled, I should probably explain why he's cool in the first place. When the first game came out, the animatronics were, of course, haunted, but unlike other games in the series, the building itself felt haunted as well. Posters on the wall changing, weird black grime on the walls, and weird anomalies that could just randomly happen. But worst of all, completely randomly, the poster of Freddy on the wall can just change to this weird yellow bear. Flip down your camera and there he is. A yellow bear in an unnatural and painful looking sitting pose, lit in a weird unnatural light. Look at him for too long and he crashes the game with just a static image and a slowed down screen. And while this isn't horribly important, I feel that it's good to note that the character was actually not named Golden Freddy in the files of the game. He's referred to as Yellow Bear, which I actually think is a much cooler, cryptid-like name, showing that he's a true anomaly. But we didn't know that at the time, so Golden Freddy became a popular fan name, and it was actually later adopted as his actual name. It's fine. But fun fact, when my girlfriend was a kid and, didn't know anything about the series, she thought Golden Freddy was like the equivalent of a rare shiny Pokemon, but for Freddy. Anyways, besides the weird name, Golden Freddy stuck out. Unlike every other character, he was just a recolor of Freddy. This weird derivative look and the fact that he just teleports shows that he might not actually be a physical being, a pure ghostly reflection of Freddy. This made him probably the most intriguing and cool character for theorizing and discussions, especially for the first year or so of the game's existence. Also, just the aura of this simple yet mysterious ghostly design was just really cool, and all this together makes Golden Freddy from the first game my favorite character from it. So obviously, with the popularity of this character, he would return in the second game. But was it a good return? Golden Freddy, gameplay-wise at least, has a much bigger role in the second game, even being part of the custom night where you fend him off with a flashlight. While it's debatable if Golden Freddy from the first game is a real suit or not, Withered Golden Freddy definitely isn't, as he fades away and he just becomes a silly looking giant floating head. While he's still definitely the odd one out, only appearing on night 6 and doing very ghostly things, this game kind of feels like the beginning of the end for the character. He feels a lot more normal. Instead of being a rare occurrence, he's just an enemy you're up against. Also design-wise, instead of looking unnatural both pose and color-wise, he just kind of looks like a suit sitting down. And honestly, I just feel like upping the contrast and tilting the head a little more would give him this ghostly and weird vibe back. But he's still fine, and that's just the second game. I'm sure the next few games will be better for him, right? While yes, more was revealed about Fredbear, the golden animatronic bear that Golden Freddy derives from, was shown in the third game and especially the fourth game. The spirit and the ghostly being that was Golden Freddy was barely mentioned at all. Sister Location had Yendo, I guess, and Pizzeria Simulator had Molten Freddy, or is Golden Freddy even part of Molten? This is something that's been on my mind for a while. So, the Fun Times combined into Innard, which became Molten Freddy, right? And besides Baby, they're made up from the remnant of the MCI kids, as shown in, the Follow Me mini-games where Afton disassembles Freddy, then Bonnie, then Chica, then Foxy, and then he dies. So, how did Golden Freddy become a part of Molten? Now, while making this video, I saw the video by Underscore, which actually explains this in a pretty cool way. He just follows the other 4, being a 5th ghost that's just present wherever the others are, and that's actually pretty cool. But still, this leads to him being just kind of forgotten. Instead of being the odd one out of the main animatronics, as the series went on, he just kind of became the 5th one. Not really important and almost neglected. Even in Pizzeria Simulator, the grand finale, he's just a part of Molten Freddy. not even mentioned during the game, besides, that covered up gravestone that did lead to an admittedly neat search for the name of the spirit that possesses him. The name is Cassidy, by the way, but that is neat, and that leads me to UCN, where it seems Golden Freddy finally gets his identity back, and this is where the complaining truly begins. Now, it's pretty widely agreed that Ultimate Custom Night is a sort of purgatory for Afton, created by the one he shouldn't have killed, who is, of course, a dead kid, consumed by rage and revenge, neither letting Afton nor themselves die because of that need to torture. But who is the one he shouldn't have killed? Afton killed a lot more than one kid. On release, it was very widely agreed upon that Cassidy, Golden Freddy was the spirit, with Golden Freddy being, the odd one out, the Fredbear Easter egg that keeps the same ghostly, contrasted look that Golden Freddy had. And while the design may be a bit lazy, being a slightly modified Freddy model, it was still cool. In fact, even though my redesign is definitely more unique, I don't really like it that much, to be honest. I don't know. For some reason, I've just always kind of liked this design. My biggest complaint is just give him 5 fingers so he works alongside Spring Bonnie. But finally for UCN, there's a cutscene you get for beating 4950 mode, with Golden Freddy slowly fading out, almost like he's losing control of Afton. While the Fredbear Easter egg could have just been, an Easter egg, I feel like this cutscene has to mean something, almost confirming to us that Cassidy played a part in UCN. That makes so much sense and brings so much life to this character that's been largely disregarded since the second game. Honestly, this was some excellent payoff, and it answered why Golden Freddy was the way he is. He's just angrier, more violent, and that makes sense, right? Well, in the Fazbear Frights book series, there's a story called Man in the Room 1280, which shows a burnt corpse in a hospital who should by all means be dead, being kept alive and tortured by an angry soul. So, it's obviously showing Ultimate Custom Night from an outsider's perspective, right? And that's pretty cool, but it's not Cassidy that's doing all of this, it's a whole new kid named Andrew. Why? Well, he's an angry spirit that's introduced in the books. That is part of an admittedly cool character called the Stitch Wraith, and I like its story, and it would be a fine disconnected story on its own, but it's implied that instead of the MCI having 5 victims, it was actually 6. So, basically, Golden Freddy was the odd one out, right? But then over time, he was underused and basically became normal. So, instead of fleshing him out, just a new kid was introduced that was basically an even odder one out to fill the role that Golden Freddy could have easily taken, leaving it to where if Golden Freddy, this incredibly intriguing, mysterious character, was taken out of the story, literally nothing would really change. I feel like it's pretty needless to say that, I don't really like Andrew that much. Now, it's not confirmed that Andrew is the vengeful spirit, or even if these Fazbear Fright stories are canon at all, but it's pretty widely agreed by fans that the Stitch Wraith stingers are canon, or at least partially canon, especially with characters like Eleanor and Fetch appearing in Into the Pit, but I still feel like there's a chance that this isn't the case. The movie shows Golden Freddy's spirit as overly vengeful, angry, and incredibly manipulative, similar to how the vengeful spirit is portrayed, and Andrew is never really mentioned in the games, but still, I think it's just the most likely answer that Andrew is canon. And that just kind of narratively sucks for Golden Freddy. Let's just hope that the movie series doesn't forget about you too. And I didn't know where to put this in the video, but he's also really cool in FNaF AR. But that's not really important to the story, and he's just kind of cool and nothing more. Anyways, that's it for this discussion, or, I guess it was more of a rant than anything. But if you want to make this a discussion, feel free to comment your takes, whether or not you think Andrew is a good character, or even if you think he's canon. I'm still a small channel, so I'll see every comment. I might not respond, but I'll see them. If you want to help grow my channel, subscribe, like, all that YouTube junk. Also, if you like my art, you could commission me, message me on Discord or Twitter or whatever. But again, thanks for watching, and bye.